All right, good morning. All right, you should have already put in your table of contents that your next journal entry is solving inequalities. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about real quick. In your toolbox, put inequality and number line. Your title is solving inequalities, and your essential question is, do the numbers in an inequality have to be presented in the same order in the corresponding word problem? Okay? So if you need to pause and copy that information, please feel free to do so. Okay? All right, I want you to go ahead and write this down. To solve an inequality, you undo or do the inverse. Remember, inverse is the opposite of what has been done to the variable. So just like equations. So to solve an inequality, you undo or do the inverse of what has been done to the variable, just like equations. All right, if you need to pause to copy that down, go ahead. All right, I want to look at this one. F plus 5 less than or equal to 7. Okay? I see that F is being added 5, is adding 5 to it. Okay? So I'm going to undo it or do the inverse, which is subtraction to both sides. This one goes away and I have F left over here. I bring down my sign, and then 7 minus 5 is 2. So now I have F is less than or equal to 2. So I'm going to draw a closed circle on 2 and shade to the left to represent F is less than or equal to 2. So if I put 0 here, is 0 less than or equal to 2? Yes, so it works. Okay? All right, let's do another one. G minus 2 is greater than or equal to 3. So I see I'm taking G, subtracting 2 to get greater than or equal to 3. So I'm going to undo the operation or do the inverse. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. Okay? This one goes away and I have G left. I'm going to bring my symbol down and it's greater than or equal to 5. Okay, so I drew a circle already. I'm going to make it closed, and I'm going to go to the right. So I have a plug-in 6. Is 6 greater than or equal to 5? Yes. Okay? That also means that I could take 6 and say 6 minus 2, which is 4. Is that greater than or equal to 3? Yes. All right, if you need to pause to copy the rest of that down, go ahead. Here's something that's really important. Make sure you write this down. When you multiply or divide by a negative, you must reverse the symbol. Okay? I'm going to repeat that again. When you multiply or divide by a negative, you must reverse the symbol. Okay? It's really important. That is the only difference between solving this like an equation. Okay? Because you don't have to flip the equal sign. Okay, let's look at one. You need to pause to copy this down. Make sure you do, okay? All right, let's look at this one. Negative 4 times r is greater than 16. Okay, so I see that negative 4 is being multiplied by r. So I'm going to undo it or do the inverse, which is division, and divide by negative 4. Okay, those go away. I have r. I'm going to flip my sign, so draw it the other direction. Okay, that's really important. When you divide by a negative, you flip the sign. And then I know a positive divided by a negative is going to be a negative, and 16 divided by 4 is 4. So I know r is less than negative 4. So I'm going to draw my number line. I'm going to draw an open circle on negative 4 because it's not equal to, and shade to the left. Okay? So shade to the left. So it's less than negative 4. Okay, let's do another one where we have to flip the sign. Notice this is a two-step equation. So here's my variable. Remember, I want to get rid of the number that's not attached to the variable first. So I see I have 7 here. So I'm going to take 7, since it's positive, and subtract it from both sides. Okay? And then remember, you have to bring down everything that's left, including the minus sign. So I have negative 2x greater than, since I was subtracting, I still keep my sign the same. 11 minus 7 is 4. okay? Now, I'm going to undo the operation here. I see x is attached to negative 2 by multiplying, so I'm going to do the inverse, which is division. Okay, notice I'm dividing by a negative, so I'm going to flip my sign and do the division. 4 divided by negative 2 gives me negative 2. So x is less than negative 2. All right, we're going to do a few more practice problems, but if you need to pause to re-listen to this, go ahead, okay? All right, so I just flipped over my page and wrote a few extras on the back, okay? So let's start up here at the top. Remember, we're solving this just like an equation at first. So I have x divided by 2 minus 5 is less than negative 8. So first, I'm going to get rid of the number that's not attached to x, which is the subtraction of 5. So I'm going to do the inverse, which is addition to both sides. I'm going to bring down my x over 2, less than, and I see this is an integer operation. So I'm going to go off to the side and subtract. What's 8 minus 5? 3, and it's going to take the sign of the larger, so it's negative 3. All right, I have division here. So I'm going to undo it by multiplying by 2. Notice this is not a negative, so you do not need to flip the sign. Okay, so negative 3 times positive 2, we leave the sign the same, bring down our x, and it's positive 6. So write that down. If the sign is not negative, you do not need to flip. Okay? And then to graph my solution, if you need to pause to copy that down, you can. I'm going to label 0, and then I know I'm over here somewhere at 6. I'm going to draw an open circle, and it's less than, so I'm going to the left. Okay? All right, let's do the next one. I have 2x plus 8 is greater than or equal to 24. So I'm going to undo the addition first, subtract 8 from both sides. Because remember, whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. 8 minus 8 gives me 0, so I bring down my 2x. It's greater than or equal to 24 minus 8 is 16. Okay? Now I see I have multiplication here, so I'm going to undo the multiplication by doing the inverse, which is division. Okay, I'm not dividing by a negative, so my sign can stay the same. I have 16 divided by 2 is 8. So I'm going to label my number line 0 and 8. I'm going to draw a closed circle, shade everything to the right, because every x is greater than or equal to 8. Okay? Let's do the next one. Negative 20 is greater than negative 2x plus 4. Okay, I'm going to undo the addition first. So take away 4 from both sides. I get negative 2x over here. Bring down the sign. Okay, this is an integer operation, so I'm going to keep, change because it was subtraction. So I get negative 24 when I add. Okay, the operation going on here is multiplication. So I'm going to do the inverse, which is division. Notice I'm dividing by a negative, so when I bring down the sign, I need to flip it. Okay, and then 24 divided by 2 is 12, and then a negative divided by a negative is a positive, so it's positive 12. Okay, so that means if we rewrote this the other way, it would be x greater than 12. Okay, so it means 12 is less than x. So I'm going to label my 0. Label 12. I'm going to draw an open circle because it's not equal to, and x is greater than 12, so it's going that direction. All right, let's do one more. All right, I see I have 4 being added. I have 1.2x plus 4 is less than 10, so I'm going to take away the 4 from both sides. Get 6, bring down my sign of 1 2/10 x. Okay, I see there's multiplication going on. So I'm going to go ahead and divide. I'm not dividing by a negative, so my sign stays the same. going to go off to the side and divide. Remember, when we divide by decimals, we move the decimal point over once, but whatever we do outside, got to do to the inside and throw it up. So now I have 60 divided by 12, and I know that that's 5. Okay? So x is less than 5. I'm going to label my 0, label my 5, draw an open circle, and shade to the left. All right, if you have any questions over this, you can ask me on Monday. We'll be practicing this a whole lot more on Monday, okay? All right, y'all have a great weekend.